And I don't think we have any groups or individuals we need to recognize this evening, but we do have a couple of proclamations. The first one is one that we did last year, but for a little background to this year, Ken Burns, the guy that does all these major documentaries for lots of major historical reasons and so forth, he invited mayors from around the country to do a short video and talk about their communities, maybe how they come together and get things done, and regardless of their backgrounds and political beliefs and all that sort of thing. And so I got with Hannah Bowman and we produced one, and we've sent it in for Ken Burns to consider putting in his entire production. And then shortly thereafter, we got this invitation to proclaim November 1st is the Extra Mile Day here in Bardstown. And I thought it was fitting that we were hoping that Ken Burns looks at our video and how we bragged about our community and how we do step up when people need to step up. So I thought it was appropriate that we would do the Extra Mile Proclamation again this year like we did last year. So I'd like to have Jessica read that if she could, please. Or excuse me, Audrey.
I mean, I'll let her, Mayor, if you want her to.
Well, she and I have been on so many meetings lately, it would not be unusual for me to ask her to do something.
Okay, thank you. Proclamation. Whereas Bardstown, Kentucky is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Bardstown is a community that encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas Bardstown is a community that chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of the community. And whereas Bardstown acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2021. Now, therefore, I, J. Richard Heaton, Mayor of the City of Bardstown, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2021 to be Extra Mile Day. I urge each individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place.
Okay. Thank you, Audrey. And I do hope that on November 1st, people like ourselves and other people in the community will take some time to just do something a little extra to help someone or an organization who might have an elderly neighbor who might need a list somewhere to somebody to run an errand for them or whatever it might be. Think about how you might do something different November 1st to make things better here in Bardstown. So I don't think we need to, do we have to have a vote to approve this proclamation? I think we do.
We don't. We can, Mayor. You can proclaim it if you wish.
Well,
but
I think we're going to do one on the next proclamation for obvious reasons. So let's go ahead and ask the council members to someone to make a motion to approve November 1st as Extra Mile Day here in Bardstown.
So moved, Mayor.
I've got, I think Councilwoman Hart is a motion and Councilman Williams is a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you. The next proclamation, I think, is going to attribute this to Councilman Williams and Councilman Shekels, both of whom are part of the staff at Bardstown City Schools, and our local Lady Tigers soccer team had a wonderful run, great season and wonderful run. So I I know both of them are sponsoring this proclamation, so I'd ask Audrey to read this proclamation honoring the play of our Bardstown Lady Tigers soccer team.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation. Whereas the Bardstown High School Lady Tigers varsity soccer team members are Emily Clements, Catherine Head, Cadence Livers, Emily Hines, Keisha Cameron, Perry Hagan, Jayla Cotton, Ava Roby, Tate Blinko, Avery Welther, Sophia Sharp, Cadence Walls, Kaylee Hines, Bella Wood, Addison Riley, Talia Lopez, Caitlin St. Peter, Nia Thompson, Isla Cresso, Bella Price, Rowan Walls, Abby Morris, Carly Livers, and Antavia Morton. And whereas the 2021 Bardstown Lady Tigers compiled a 17-7-1 record, and whereas the Bardstown High School girls soccer team was guided by head coach Martin Bodkin and assistant coaches Mark St. Peter, Michelle Ellis, Omar Dizdar, and Pete Welther. And whereas the Lady Tigers won back-to-back 19th region championships and achieved the first state tournament win in school history. And whereas the Bardstown alumni and the citizens of Bardstown wish to express their heartfelt congratulations to the 2021 Lady Tigers soccer team. Now, therefore, I, J. Richard Heaton, Mayor of the City of Bardstown, do hereby encourage all Bardstown residents to join in celebration of the Bardstown High School Lady Tigers soccer team.
All right, thank you, Audrey. I would ask for a motion then to approve this proclamation and make it a permanent record of the City of Bardstown.
So moved.
A motion by Councilman Williams, or a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
All right, second by Councilman Hibbs, another alumni. And any other discussion? Roland, you or Councilman Shekels have anything you want to add to what we mentioned here?
Not really.
They're a great bunch of
Bill.
girls.
Yeah.
Very talented bunch of girls, and
Yes.
beating the defending state champion, that was quite an accomplishment. So great job on part of the Tigers and their coaching staff. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Okay, Jessica, this time we have a change order on our Round Creek truck line, and I think Jessica has told me this is really, we're finishing up this project. So I'll let you speak to that and tell us about the change order that's in our favor for a change.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I always like presenting these. This is the, what I call the balancing change order that accompanies the very end of a project once everything is completed, and this was a unit price contract. So we then take all the items and that were bid versus what was actually installed and utilized and clean up the project to close it out. And in this case, for the overall project that was going on for 410 days, which is well over a year, we're only on change order number 3, and we have our balancing change order as a credit. So I see this as a very good project to complete. So the balancing change order put the credit to the overall total bid price of $42,084.50. So if there's any particular questions, I'd be happy to address those.
I don't think you'll get any objections.
You're welcome.
I feel like I've been working on this project for 3 years, which technically we really have in some way, shape, or form. So I'm excited to wrap this
Well,
up.
the planning and engineering and all that was for sure. And, a little background here, I think we were very fortunate. And I think, Jessica, didn't we get a $1.6 million grant on the federal level, which was really great, helped us save considerable on this project. And we got a very good rate on our KIA loan to finish the funding for this project. So it really came together very well.
Yes, and it is in operation and functioning. So there's only one thing left that they're going to do, and that's going to come back and they're going to reseed several areas that, for whatever reason, we've got the bad luck in weather, and what came up died, even though it was during the appropriate time. We kind of had a little heat spell. And then we had a torrential rains. We had all that rain on September the 15th that whatever didn't die got kind of washed away. So they're coming back to do this reseeding and try to get this closed out and finished up.
All right, thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the change order, which is a $42,084.50 credit on our Rowland Creek wastewater improvement trunk line?
So moved, Mayor.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Jones. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hart. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Bobby Simpson would be so happy. He's probably disappointed he missed out on being able to vote on this one. Okay, next we have some COAs from the Historic Review Board. So I would ask Audrey to read the summary, and I'll note there are a couple of recusals when we get ready to do the voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. COA 21-188, 418 East Stephen Foster LLC applicants, Bardstown Parkview Inc., Kurt's Restaurant Inc. LLC owners. Request to demolish an outbuilding to the property at 418 East Stephen Foster Avenue. Recommendation: approval to demolish the proposed outbuilding. COA 21-146, 418 East Stephen Foster LLC applicants, Bardstown Parkview Inc., Kurt's Restaurant Inc. LLC owners. Request to add a pool shed to the property at 418 East Stephen Foster Avenue. Recommendation: approval to build the new pool shed as proposed. COA 21-195, Penn and Brenda Bogart. Applicants owners request to install a board and batten window to the property at 201 South First Street. Recommendation: approval to install the proposed board and batten window. COA 21-196, Penn and Brenda Bogart. Applicant owner request to make in-kind replacement of historic casement windows to the property at 201 South First Street. Recommendation: approval to install the historic casement windows as proposed. COA 21-200, Nick Kipper. Applicant David Hobbs. Owner request to install landscaping to the property at 216 East Flagey. Recommendation: approval to add the proposed landscaping. COA 21-201, Roger Wicker. Applicant owner request to remove the chimney extension to the property at 206 South 3rd Street. Recommendation: approval to remove the chimney extension with the following conditions. The chimney cap will be staff approved. COA 21-208, Sam Lacey and Nika Mathis. Applicants, Revelation Exchange LLC owner, request to install a fence at 111 South 3rd Street. Recommendation: approval to install the proposed fence. COA 21-202, Reggie and Marianne Mudd. Applicants, owners request to relocate the sign framework to the property at 106 to 108 West Flagey Avenue. Recommendation: approval to relocate the sign framework as proposed. COA 21-203, Reggie and Marianne Mudd. Applicants, owners request to expose windows to the property at 106 to 108 West Flagey Avenue. Recommendation: approval to expose the proposed windows. COA 21-204, JTD Holdings LLC. Applicant owner request to replace the metal awnings while keeping existing metal frames and paint metal portions of the building at 102 North 3rd Street. Recommendation: approval to replace the metal roof of the awnings and to paint the proposed portions of the building. COA 21-205, JTD Holdings LLC. Applicant owner request to replace the old signpost to the property at 102 North 3rd Street. Recommendation: approval for the new signpost as proposed. COA 21-206, BDE Ventures LLC. Applicant owner request to replace the door to the property at 114 East Brashear. Recommendation: approval for the new front door as proposed. COA 21-207, BDE Ventures LLC. Applicant owner request to install a gas lantern to the property at 114 East Brashear. Recommendation: approval for the gas lantern as proposed. COA 21-199 City of Bardstown applicant Vital LLC owner requests to install landscaping to the property at 523 North 3rd Street. Recommendation: approval to install the proposed landscaping.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. I'm gonna take all of them but COA 21-202, 203, 204, 205. I want to take all of those other than those four first, and then we have a couple of recusals on those two groups. So if I could have a motion to approve the balance of the COAs as read and presented by our city attorney, and approve the recommendations by the Historic Review Board.
So move, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilman Hibbs. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Hart. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, next we will do COA 21-202 and 203, and let the record show that Councilwoman Hart will recuse herself on this vote. So I need a motion to approve COA 21-202 and 203.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, second with Councilman Shekels. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. All right, next we'll take COA 21-204 and 205, and Councilman Buckman will recuse on this one. So I need a motion to approve COA 21-204 and 205.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hart. On the motion, is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Hibbs. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, those motions are carried. Thank you. Okay. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes. If there's no additions or correction, we will approve the minutes of the October 12th meeting by unanimous consent. Okay, no corrections or additions. We'll do it by unanimous consent. Okay, we're calling on our CFO, Aaron Bowles. Give us a first quarter financial review for fiscal year 22.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Instead of doing this monthly, I decided to try to switch it up and do it quarterly. If anybody has any suggestions or would like me to go back to monthly, then just let me know. I can. I just felt like from month to month it was kind of the same thing over and over again. There wasn't really too much changes. I was just basically updating the numbers for you, but overall the line items were all the same. So again, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible, but if you'd rather see it on a monthly basis, just let me know. If there's anything else you guys want to see in more detail, again, just let me know and we can, I'll present it at one of the council meetings. So as you open it up, the attachment, we'll just get started. As I walk through this, just kind of keep in mind, you know, as of 3 months into the year, we're looking at a normal budget variance of about 25%. That would bar any type of seasonal type expenditures or revenue that we see. Any like property tax, for example, like all received all at once. So again, just 25% kind of the baseline for a normal this time of year. On the first page, general fund revenue came in. We were running about $2.1 million, and that represented 19% of our budgeted revenue. Looking back, that's kind of artificially low due to, you know, again, some of those seasonal fluctuations of the way we record revenue. 23% comes from property tax, and that was recorded October 1st. So, and then another 8% comes from net profits, which we don't start seeing that until at least January 1. So again, if you look at the budget variance of 19%, you might think it's a little bit low, but again, that's just due to some of the larger amounts of revenue that come in later in the year.
Hey, Aaron, is that incentive pay? Is that for police and fire where they get from CLEP funds and where you got the incentive?
Yes, on the chart, yes, that
Yeah.
is that's incentive pay where we get reimbursed from two different state agencies. There's a direct offsetting expense to within the salaries lines where we pay that incentive out. All right. Down on the graph, you can see the majority of our revenue came in from occupational license fees. We just under $1.5 million for the first quarter of FY22. The good news is this is up $235,000 or roughly 18% over this time in FY21. So we are definitely off to a good start with occupational license revenue. That line item itself is running around 25.9% of budget. So we're kind of right on schedule with it. We had that bond reimbursement for the Tracy Hudson case that was recorded as revenue, $350,000 there. Other tax revenue, I grouped several different line items together there. That 141 is broken down with 63,000 in restaurant tax, which again would be a direct offsetting expense. You'll see on the next page. 45,000, almost 46,000 was telecom and gas franchise fee revenue. And then another almost 32,000 in motor vehicle taxes make up that 141 number. Incentive pay we just talked about. Net profits came in right around 43,000. This is not 2021 filings. This is just 2020 filings that are still coming in after the normal FY21 cutoff. Pool revenue in the green there, $36,000. That was nice. We had no revenue in FY21, so that was a good bump there for us. On to the next page. Expenses for the general fund were running $2.5 million for the first quarter. That number's down about $200,000 from FY21, running about 23% of budget for this year. Of all the expenditures for the general fund, salaries and benefits, which are separated in the chart below, actually account for 68% of total expenditures for the first quarter. So majority of things happening are related to salaries and retirement and health insurance. Some items of note in the chart below. We got public works building construction there that hit the street department of 57,000. That's almost complete, so we shouldn't see too much more there. Maintenance and repairs mainly came from vehicle maintenance and repairs. Fire truck. The fire department had 11,000 in expenses there, with almost $9,800 in tires for all the several different fire trucks that they had going on. Street paving for the first quarter was $35,000. That was for some work done out in Cottage Grove Estates, like Clay, Tyler, Atlantic, Watts, and Carnegie Court were all repaid. That number will go up significantly this next quarter as we were billed for some work that they did. I believe it was about $180,000. So we'll talk about that next quarter. And the other items, again, I just tried to hit the highlights of some larger expenditures that the general fund sees. I can't detail out every single item, and I try to group like kind expenses in different buckets there.
Aaron, does the property and liability insurance, does that just usually hit in the first quarter? And
Yes.
then, so it's sort of a front loaded
Right.
expense
Right.
that doesn't reoccur a lot after this first quarter.
That's correct. We shouldn't see hardly any. The only changes that we'll see is, or increases there would be if we buy a vehicle. We'll have to pay an additional fee for those. But yes, that line item will not grow anymore.
Right. It hurts you on expenses first quarter, then your revenue gets a lot better in second quarter, and
Right.
that helps offset that.
All right. No more questions. We'll move on to Combined Utilities Fund. Revenue for that fund came in at $9.8 million, roughly 20.5% of the budgeted revenue. Another good item to note here is that that 9.8 million is up $1.1 million over FY21 same period last year. So revenue is looking good in combined utilities. Most of that increase over the previous fiscal year came through service charges, of course. That's our biggest revenue bucket there. Service charges were $9 million for the first quarter of this year. That's up $880,000 over the same period last year. Other items in the revenue section, we had some KIA loan reimbursements for those sewer projects that we have going on Rowan Creek and those pump stations. Service connections were $114,000 for the quarter. That's up $30,000 over fiscal year 21. So it's showing some increased construction activity throughout the community. Late fees was about $94,000 for the first quarter. And again, that's similar to, we had $0 in revenue in that bucket for FY21 due to the governor's mandate that we weren't allowed to charge late fees through the COVID pandemic. Just some other smaller items there. Moving on to expenditures. Overall, for the combined utilities, expenditures were $10.2 million. That's 20.5%, the same exact percentage as our revenue as for the budgeted revenue or expenditures. Instead of trying to detail out all the departments together, I broke them down into 3 different charts here. On this first page for the expenses, we're looking strictly at the electric department. Expenses for them were $3.4 million. That's down over the prior fiscal year by about $195,000. Again, the majority of their expenditures come from the electric purchase for resale, those bills that we get from KU. That was 2.7, almost $2.8 million of that 3.4 million was for that electric purchase for resale. Other items of note, we purchased a mini excavator. That was a budgeted item for them. Help them to do some underground work at their projects that they got going on. No more questions. We'll move on. The next one, your next page would be, I grouped water, sewer, and garbage together. They're kind of, some of their staffing is linked, especially through water and sewer, and then some of the projects are also all combined through that department or those 3 departments. For water, sewer, garbage department, we had expenses of $3.7 million. That's up $520,000 over FY21, and that's mainly due to some water construction projects that are occurring this year, whereas they had none in FY21. Just some detail on that chart below. Sewer construction projects at $709,000. That breaks down Rowan Creek, which is, as we discussed earlier, is almost done. $570,000 of that. some pump station work that we're trying to get going with the American Greetings and Royal Crest pump station, I believe, came in at $130,000. And then the Woodlawn Interceptor project, where we're running a new line out through Woodlawn, just getting going, $10,000 there. Breaking down your water construction project line, that's at $413,000. The main item there was the Hirschland water tank paint project, $273,000 rolled over into this year. It kind of was split between FY21 and FY22. And then the same thing with the Springfield Road. We had a loop water project going on Springfield Road, and that was at $141,000. Public workshop was another item. Again, that's coming to a close. Almost $170,000 for that was expensed in the first quarter. And then the last three items, we had some quite a bit of construction work going on at the water plant. We had a roof there at $72,000, a filter replacement, and then some electronic control modules that we had to replace at $25,000. So total there was $155 just to work going on at the water plant itself. And lastly, we got the cable and internet department. They had just over $3 million in expenses. That's 22% of their budget. And that department's up almost $613,000 over FY21. And that's mainly due to our increased cable affiliate fees and cable programming fees that we have to pay out, and increased salaries and wages, kind of making up that difference. On the chart below, cable affiliate fees, that line item was $1.4 million, and that's up $375,000 over last year. Any more questions on that? That kind of completes my utilities expenditures. The last page, cash and investments. Cash remains strong. We're at 13.7 million or 13.2 million in cash on hand. And then we got another $12.3 million sitting as an investment. So not yielding very much, but it's safe and sound and ready if it's needed. Any questions?
Okay.
That's a lot of numbers.
Thank you, Aaron. It's a very good report, and I think most of the trends are in the right direction, because last year we were still being impacted by COVID and some inconsistent months, due to that, and some businesses not being open as much as they were, and now things are a bit more normal, I think. Got a lot of projects going too, so some of those carried over into this fiscal year as well, and some new projects getting started, particularly in water, sewer, and internet and cable. So,
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. I don't think we have any reports from any of the staff members and committees.
Mayor, we had a electric and cable committee meeting, if you'd like to hear a abbreviated report on that.
Sure.
Our electric cable committee basically covering continuing conversion from the 4K to the 12K for our system, mostly concentrated in the Hirschland Drive, Circle Drive areas, with substantial completion of that project expected by spring of 2022. The electric study reviews are ongoing, which the electric company or department has hired an engineering firm to conduct an arc flash study, which is required by their department, which basically, for everyone on the council, that means that there's high energy points that have to be accessed by our staff that you have to know what those energy levels are and have studies that prove what those energy levels are, so you know what appropriate PPE to wear, which is personal protective gear. So that's ongoing. There's a 5-year plan to incorporate the recommendations of the protection study. So this basically means that the hope is to improve overall system protection, and the main goal being of reducing outages long term. So specific improvements being what's called Hendrix wire, or they call it tree wire. It's the coated type of overhead wire that if there are incidences with trees that haven't been trimmed, or trees that grow up into the utility lines, that makes that much more manageable. And then also another long-term goal would be utilize as much underground utilities to underground conversion as feasible or as possible. Also, there's been much discussion about at this particular committee meeting. There's a lot of discussion about tree trimming and the placement policy of trees going forward. There tends to be a lot of confusion as to what homeowners are responsible for and what the city's responsible for as far as trimming trees. And also Jeff Miller and Eric in the group are trying to work on coming up with some standards or a clear guideline as far as tree trimming is concerned, and what can be done. What can be done to alleviate a lot of those problems. On the cable side, I know we just heard from Aaron on the cable's budget. Here's a few things that are going on as far as an update. There's a lot of activity with cybersecurity awareness and a heavy focus on this by the cable staff and the home. And they've enlisted a partnership with No B4, which is a company that trains staff on what to do and how to react with certain cybersecurity threats. And one of the sayings that Nahome passed along was the best protection or the best firewall is a well-trained staff. So that's the direction that we're going with that. There's a billing software upgrade proposal. They're looking at upgrading the utility software to a newer version. Also looking at the billing software for CableNet that supports a better customer portal and supports a remote sign up. They're excited also about upgrading the phones at City Hall. So I'm sure you're aware of that, Mayor. Also, it's going on currently with a new automated system. And this is supposed to also help with communications with the customers, such as letting them know when a tech is en route to address their problems and such. They're almost done with the head end renovation in the old fire department space. So what I've read and what Nahome has passed along is there are going to be 1,008 fibers that can potentially serve over 24,000 customers. So if anyone has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to address that. But that's my report at this time, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Dones. As you can see, internet and cable electric got a lot going on, and just like we do in other departments. I think one thing I would add, I think Nahome said as a result of the county's support of our grant request and putting up some money, some of their ARP money, along with that we budgeted earlier in the year, that's going to help us hopefully leverage a matching grant to the tune of about $1.7 million because the city, the county, and then our regular budget together have 1.7 to match this grant request that we asked the county to join us in support of. So we're hopeful we get the full 1.7. That would be great that we could build and upgrade $3.4 million worth of cable and internet in many unserved and underserved areas in the county, and which is our market. And we're hopeful to be successful in that request. But a lot of people, a lot of providers are in that, looking for that. But we think we've made a good request, so we're hopeful we'll get a good decision on that matching grant. But if we don't get 1.7, maybe we'll get 1 million. So still gives us a lot of money to put in this effort, which is so needed today, particularly in the broadband market. I'll just say Chief Kressig is in training this week. So Major Thompson and Major Seeley will be running our PD this week while she's in training. And Jessica, I told her she wouldn't have to stay, but hopefully she's still here because she's already given her report. We've had some calls about some odors in the Edgewood area of town and 6th Street. Might ask Jessica if she's still on the meeting, if she could maybe give some report on the nature of that odor problem and where we're at on that.
Yes, I'd be happy to, Mayor. As was budgeted this year, we had planned maintenance, which included sludge removal for Lagoon Number 1 at the Town Creek Gilkey Run wastewater treatment plant. We began that effort earlier in the summer, about midsummer, and we got about halfway through, and we were, due to weather and other concerns, had to stop as a result of the landfill not being able to take or handle any more sludge at the time. We also had our subcontractor ended up having the folks that were scheduled here have COVID outbreaks, so they had to kind of pull off the job. And in the meantime, we've been diligently looking for alternative locations to take our sludge. We have not cleaned out this lagoon since 2007, so we were much needed to get some of that treatment capacity back and as part of our overall maintenance. The dilemma is when we do the dredging, the act of dredging doesn't necessarily create a ton of odors in and of itself because we're not spraying anything, we're trying to keep everything submerged. But what happens is we have to take all of our aerators out of that lagoon, which then results in not enough oxygen in the water, and then that's what starts creating the odors. So because we've had to pull off, we've got applications into 2 other landfills to try to get approval to take our sludge there. There's lab data that has to be ran on our different scanned information, especially for out of county folks. We just got word that our lab data came back yesterday. So it looks like we're going to get to take some of the sludge to Hardin County landfill. And in the meantime, I've also heard back this afternoon that the Nelson County landfill is desperately trying to find some places for us to stockpile there. And I don't have the space to stockpile this material at our Town Creek facility. And because so much of that area is in the floodplain. So I just can't wait for there to be, this sludge has to be mixed in with garbage that comes into the landfill. And again, they're getting to the top of their landfill cone, so to speak, and taking too much creates slides and so forth. So they're trying to work with us. And unfortunately, we do not have an active, already on file land farming permit through the Division of Waste Management, which would allow us to just land apply and provide some beneficial reuse of our sludge to the farming community. So that's something that we're actively working towards moving forward, and I'm hoping to have in place by the time we need to do this in the spring in order to clean out the Jerry Riley. But I'm hoping to hear in the morning that we've got our permit for Hardin County so that we can start back this process and try to wrap this up, because at this point I'm only about halfway done and I'm hoping I can get some air back in. But I've been trying to wait and determine on what am I going to do, if I'm going to have to just close up shop, get air back on, and try to come back again and try it again in the spring. and hope there's space. So I've kind of been in a little regulatory circle to make sure that we're still compliant on our discharge for our treatment plant itself and what we do with those waste streams on how to do in our maintenance. So I really hate that the odors have gotten as bad as they were. It was never in our intent to take this long. So I really appreciate, it's not going to last forever. Again, we're actively working on trying to get this resolved. Thankfully, we've not actually been the cause of much smell down there in quite some time. And for once, I hate to say that it is us this time causing the smell, but I am diligently working on it and desperately trying to find a way to get this much needed removal of this waste out of the plant so that we can continue doing what we do and get those smells back eliminated. So communicating with EPA, Division of Water, and all those agencies. And again, I apologize to all the residents in that area. And I beg them to bear with me as we work through this.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, it's just been one of those combination of weather that's impacting our local landfill and COVID, the contractor, and then delay in getting regulatory approval at the state level, which it just seems like it's a constant battle of getting them to move very fast on request to apply this sludge on farmland like they do with the waste coming from the distilleries. They allow that with no question, but ours, they require a lot of hoops to be jumped through. So we felt like, I think that most of this, if not all of it, would have been okay at our local landfill. But again, weather issues, and they're in the process of expansion out there. So they're not 100% capable of their normal capacity for our sludge. So we'll get through this. Just ask for patience. We don't do this every year, so it's one of those things we have to do, and it's we'll move on as fast as we possibly can, and if the regulators will let us do. So thank you, Jessica. Anyone have any questions for her that she didn't, something she may not? All right, we'll move on then. We have a municipal order. We just have a slight change in the dates when our recreation committee meets. So Audrey, I guess I would just ask you to maybe just read that paragraph, section 9, which is where the change is in that municipal order 2021-08.
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. Paragraph 9 of, where did it go? I lost the title. Municipal Order M2108. That there is hereby named a Recreation Committee of the City Council, whose members shall be Chairman Councilman Roland Williams, Councilwoman Betty Hart, Councilman David Dones, and the Recreation Director, and shall have regularly scheduled meetings on the fourth strike Thursday of March, June, September, and December. Add Tuesday of January, April, July, and October at 5:00 p.m. in the City Council chambers located on the second floor at 116 North 5th Street. And that's the only change to the order, Mayor. We're not required to read them, but certainly to apprise everyone of that change. I think that's helpful.
Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll move on then. We don't have any cemetery deeds. Any member of the council?
Mayor, we may want to, we
sorry.
typically do vote on the order, so we may want to take a, have someone move to.
All right. Thank you. Then I would ask for a motion to approve the changes to municipal order M 2021-08 in paragraph 9 as read by our city attorney.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Williams, we have a second.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Dones. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now I'll just ask, is there any member of the council that needs to bring anything in front of the council this evening? Okay, we're moving on the mayor's update. We've heard mention in our financial report about our public works building. That building is complete. We've actually moved in probably 2 months ago. We've been waiting on some small items, some fencing and some blacktop work got done. And last but not least, we're waiting on our signage to get done. If you all recall, we agreed to name this center after Larry Hamilton in honor of Larry's many years of service. So when that signage gets finished, which we did the footer and the brickwork on it last week, we'll call for a open house and invite the public as well as certainly the council members and our staff to come out there and see this wonderful new building and workplace for our public works department. So as soon as we have a date, we will let you all know and let the media know when we plan to have that open house. As far as COVID is concerned, Nelson County is still in the red. There's a number of counties around us now that have moved into the orange. I think Spencer and LaRue and even Jefferson County is in the orange now. So we are hopeful once Nelson County moves into that orange category, that at that point we will probably change the mandatory order for masks to be worn in city public buildings of the city of Bardstown. So, but we're still waiting for that number to fall. We are hearing that the numbers in the city are pretty good, and the numbers out in the county are a bit higher right now, the incident rate. So we're just hoping people will continue to get vaccinated. Obviously today, the CDC recommended that children 5 to 11 years old will be able to be vaccinated, so that should help. And again, we're just encouraging everybody to take advantage of the vaccines. The boosters are now readily available here in Bardstown. So if you're eligible for a booster, you can get them in practically all the pharmacies in town have them available. Not all of them have every brand of the vaccine, but most all the pharmacies have at least one of the vaccines, whether it's J&J or Pfizer or Moderna. So just check with your local pharmacy that you go to, and you should be able to get vaccinated if you need a booster or if you need a vaccine. They all have them. So want to encourage that. So looking forward to Nelson County getting into the orange, and some counties in Kentucky are now into the yellow. So it's a trend in the right direction, and we're hopeful to move in that direction sooner than later. That's all I have. Is there's nothing else. I could ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Mayor.
All right. Motion by Councilman Hibbs. Is there a second?
Second on the adjournment.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Shekels. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. All opposed.